When Biden took us off the pipeline, oil prices went up. Oil produces fertilizer. And when fertilizer is no longer cheap, people can't produce food. And the average American has nothing. 40% of Americans have nothing. Inflation is going to make them very upset. A stock market crash will bring down the baby boomers. So we're in serious, serious trouble here.
Robert Kiyosaki, the renowned author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has been repeating a single warning for Americans for over a month now. His warning is that the US dollar and economy are going to dust. He has repeated this warning in several tweets and interviews to show his conviction about the precarious situation we are in. In a recent interview with Stansberry Research, Kiyosaki declares that U.S. President Joe Biden and not Russian President Vladimir Putin is responsible for the highly unfavorable situation. Though Biden's administration has tried to pin the blame on Putin, many experts, including the Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, have pointed out that the problem started way before Putin invaded Russia. Furthermore, Kiyosaki adds that he is more concerned about the tag team formed by the Russian and Chinese presidents against the United States after Biden's ban on Russian oil imports. With Xi and Putin in talks about trading with the Chinese yuan instead of the dollar, the situation could worsen faster than policymakers can handle. Consequently, this would lead to a catastrophic event that Kiyosaki says would wipe out 50% of the American citizens. Listen to Kiyosaki's thoughts on how Biden is causing the rising inflation and why he has urged investors to put their wealth in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. While you are watching, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments section.
Well, there's a guy, Jordan Peterson, he's a Canadian, and he talks about, he says, you think tough men are dangerous, and Trump was a tough man. But he says, watch what weak men will do. And this guy Biden is the worst I have ever seen. The man is senile. And today what's happening is Russia and China are now ganging up on the U.S. It's really a dangerous world right now. It's getting worse. So every time you interview me, when Trump was in power, I was a bit optimistic. But now we have the weakest, most corrupt government. You know, what happened to Hunter Biden's laptop? If the FBI loses his laptop, there's something really sick inside this country. And so that's kind of what I gauge all my macroeconomics on is, where is Hunter Biden's laptop? I mean, how can the FBI lose it? We have no financial education in our schools. So that's what I'm concerned about. My biggest concern, Danielle, with Russia and China are ganging up on us. As we all know, America produces nothing anymore. We produce bubbles. You know, we just blow air bubbles. So we now have this bubble in real estate and stocks and bonds. And then when Biden took the Keystone pipeline, XL pipeline off, just wiped us out here. Inflation goes up, and the average American doesn't have $1,000. 40% of Americans don't have $1,000. And so when inflation goes up, we're going to wipe out 50% of the U.S. population. And that is when revolution starts. And so if and when, and it will come down, the stock market crashes, the 401k, the old guys like me are toast. You know, we don't have a retirement. Our pensions are bust. So what we have are three things is our treasury is out of control. We've lost it. Our entitlements out of control. And now we're at war in the Defense Department. So our debt to GDP is out. So every time I talk to Danielle, I said, I wish I could have some good news. So that's why I did the tuna can to a silver eagle comparison. We're in trouble. As we all know, there's insiders to every deal. I don't have any stocks. You know, I don't invest in the stock market, but they're my companies on the stock market. So the best deals are always done early. So when people say, do you invest in Bitcoin? Yes, when it was $6,000. So Solana is still early and it's got a possibility, it's a long shot. It's the same as a can of tuna. A can of tuna may be worth more than Solana. We've got to know what's real today. And that's why I'm saying we have the weak leadership in world history. America's in serious trouble. So I want to find out what's real. And China and Russia are now ganging up on us. We went to Venezuela and Iran to buy oil from them. And this guy Biden cuts off our oil supply.
Kiyosaki also talks about increasing oil prices and how it may cause many American families to starve. He states that a barrel of oil has gone from $30 to $130 due to the ban. He adds that this negatively affects the production of fertilizers, resulting in the high cost of food production in America. Kiyosaki continues that Biden is on the verge of igniting a fire of revolution as the inflation he is stirring up will cause an average United States citizen to own less than $1,000, which is a critical sign of revolution. The poor become poorer and the middle class drops to become poor. That's the recipe for revolution, the rich dad, poor dad author solemnly declares.
Well, always remember, America has stopped producing products. We produce bubbles. Now, the good thing about a bubble is when they burst, everything goes on sale. And so when in 2008, I waited till about 2010. I borrowed $300 million because debt is money, as you know, after 71. And I began buying real estate at bargain prices. So just recently, the repo market inverted again, which means we're going down. It means recession's ahead. But my concern is now revolution, because when people can't afford to eat tuna, we're going to have rioting. So it's a whole different type of bubble burst. When Biden took us off the pipeline, oil prices went up. Oil produces fertilizer. And when fertilizer is no longer cheap, people can't produce food. And the average American has nothing. 40% of Americans have nothing. Inflation is going to make them very upset. A stock market crash will bring down the baby boomers. So we're in serious, serious trouble here. So I'm just being ridiculous in my tweets because it's better than listening to Biden, that I'd rather have a can of tuna right now. That's what I'm saying, is that at least I can eat it.
Robert, when you, I'm going to send you a case of tuna, but before it hits $25. But when you talk about a revolution.
Well, I'm a U.S. Marine. You know, I fought in Vietnam twice as a pilot. I've seen what happens when the communists, what people can see in the Ukraine, communists always kill civilians. And that's what people don't realize. And as a Marine, they sent kids and women after us. So a lot of my friends who came back with PTSD, and you can see it in the Ukraine today, they're not hitting, Russia's not hitting military targets. They're hitting civilian targets. And when you understand communism, and you know, this is my latest book here, it's called The Capitalist Manifesto, I am a student of communism. So this here is, when 65, I had to read this book here, 48 pages, one of the most influential books in world history. But nobody's read the book. They don't know what Marx said. But what Marx said, they had to have the poor get poor and the middle class come down. And that was the recipe for revolution. And I see Biden doing it when he took the Keystone XL pipeline and took us off of it, and oil prices went up. Now, the thing is, Danielle, I got richer because I produce oil. I don't invest in oil. I don't invest in Shell or Exxon and all that. I invest in oil wells. So when oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel, I got richer, but I also got more concerned for my fellow human beings. They can't afford to live at $130 a gallon, a barrel oil.
According to statistics, 3% of the oil supply in America comes from Russia. Placing an embargo on the importation of oil from Russia will undoubtedly upset the country's economic balance, and the price of things will go through the roof. Hopefully, the inflation will be tamed if the war stops soon enough. What are your thoughts on Kiyosaki's interview? Be sure to drop your comments below and like this video. Thanks for watching.